What you see in front of you is father and son time, Jayson Tatum and Deuce. We don't have Deuce on the show. I'm not gonna lie to you, but we do have Celtics superstar Jayson Tatum hanging out with us right now. You guys know him, you guys love him, and he joins Yahoo Sports Daily, 6-time All-Star NBA champion. I love that you get that opportunity. Deuce spotting you in the gym. Is he helping you work out, buddy?
Not just yet, but I recently just was able to get on the court and do a basketball workout, and he's pretty excited about that. He'll be out there shooting around with dad again.
I know we're going to talk a lot about your injury and the mentals on it, but how has just having this time with Deuce sort of helped you get through this process?
Yeah, I think it's the silver lining through all of this, being at home. I really spent the majority of my time this summer in Boston. So being around, Deuce and then the baby Dylan throughout the entire summer, really just really gave me more time at home to be around them and enjoy, seeing them grow up and seeing their bond together, and that relationship develop has been really cool.
That's so sweet, and maybe just the sweetest little silver lining on maybe a situation that you didn't really think there could be a silver lining of, and that was your Achilles injury that you suffered in the playoffs this past season. You said you were able to get back onto the court. It sounds like your recovery is going well, but how are you mentally, physically? How is that recovery going? How are you and you are in your physical and emotional state?
Ooh, that is a loaded question, and I don't know if it's enough time in the day to answer it all. It's been a long, long journey. 19 weeks today. Every Tuesday marks a week. And it's been tough. It's been emotional. But I'm thankful that, I've had a great support system, whether it's my kids, my friends, my mom, my team around me to help me throughout this journey. And it's just trying to get a little bit better every single day. But I'm super thrilled with the progress that I've made and how I feel now. Looking back at this picture of me on the, fresh out of surgery, definitely brings back some memories. But I'm glad to be moving a lot better now.
I mean, you mentioned that the recovery is going well, and that's what we're all rooting for. Celtics fans over the moon because we keep hearing the reports. Celtics are happy with the recovery, and everybody's trying to figure out could Tatum come back as soon as this year. For you, what's sort of the realistic expectation in your mind for how and when you can make it back on the court?
Um, no, the most important thing is making a full recovery. This rehab process has been a long one. Part of why we're here is to talk about my partnership with Vertex Pharmaceuticals and, just throughout the journey, right? There's so many different phases of rehab. And right around the 4 week mark was, when you start introducing weight bearing, I'm still in the boot, I still have crutches, but that's when you start introducing new things. And at that time period is when I started to experience some discomfort and some pain. And that's when I was able to have a conversation, with my surgeon, and we introduced me to Journavx, which is a non-opioid medicine for moderate to severe acute pain, which was, really helpful to me. It took the pain away during that time period. And, like a lot of medicines, that there are side effects to a lot of things, but, that everyone should talk to their doctor. And that's what I did. I talked to, the doctor, and it worked for me. And I'm very happy that I took that approach.
You mentioned it's a journey, and unfortunately, this is the longest recovery journey that you've been on in your career. You missed a couple of games early in your Duke career, but nothing like this process that's ahead of you now. What do you think you've learned about yourself as a person, as a player, as you move throughout your recovery journey?
Um, I think, a lot of people will, talk about, working hard and pushing through things. And those things are true. And, people can feel that way. And, I did feel like I worked really hard throughout my career and fought through some adversity. Adversity can look different, right? Losing in the conference finals, losing in the finals, like I had to fight through that to ultimately win a championship. This is this has been unlike anything I've ever experienced, because it's like starting over and really having to challenge yourself every single day. The mental part has been much tougher than the physical part. Days when you want to give up, days when you don't feel like can do this anymore. Really just challenging yourself, not to look too far ahead. I think that's been the best thing that I've learned about myself, which is really, as cliche as it may sound, is just taking it day by day. How can I get better today? How can I feel more confident today than I did yesterday? And that's really kind of helped me throughout.
And whenever we see an injury like that, as fans and people who cover sports, your injury or injuries that we see across different landscapes, across different sports landscapes, my heart just goes out to them for those exact reasons, that it is so challenging as a person, as a competitor, to get through this. But you aren't the only one, unfortunately, who's suffered an Achilles injury. So Tyrese Haliburton go down. We saw Damian Lillard go down. Have you been able to kind of reach out to them and had a little kind of counseling group, and how have you guys helped each other through these processes?
Yeah. The guys I've talked to the most is Dejounte Murray, who tore his, I want to say, in January or February. I talked to Dame. I talked to, Tyrese. Um, you know, we all had the same injury, just at different stages, right? And so I've been in communication with Dame and Dejounte because they're ahead of me of like, hey, how did it feel when you first got out of the boot? How did it feel when you first started walking? How did it feel when you first got back on court? Those guys have been helpful. Tyrese as well. He's a few weeks after me, but yeah, we've all been talking throughout the process, just um, essentially rooting each other on, right? We all want the best for each other because we're in the same boat. And we all feel for one another because we can attest to exactly what each one is kind of going through right now.
I mean, Jason, that's a lot of stars you just mentioned, like superstars in the league that are all dealing with similar sorts of injuries, which takes me back to the playoffs when there were some loud conversations about what does the league need to do about this, and so many of you are impacted. What would you say as someone that suffered this injury to some of that conversation? Is there an issue that the league needs to take a look at?
And so again, I think every situation is different, right? Dame had the blood clot, right, in his calf, and Tyrese had a calf strain. Whereas me and I talked to Dejounte, we're feeling healthy, we're feeling really good. So the conversations that I've had and the questions that I've asked specialists and doctors, there's no like specific reason why. Uh, it's kind of an unlucky, situation. Which is unfortunate. It's not what you really want to hear after you get injured, because you're like, what could I have done to prevent this? Or, was my tendon not strong enough? And, all the signs point to like you did everything you were supposed to. You just kind of were unlucky. And that was kind of a tough pill to swallow.
All right, so you've talked to some of those players. We also know you talked to your childhood buddy, Florida Panthers wing Matthew Tkachuk. He's also going to miss the start of the season with the torn abductor muscle wildly, but he just notched his second Stanley Cup title. So two kids that grew up together. One's got two titles. You've got one. Is there trash talking going? Different sports, I know, but is there a little trash talking going between the two on levels of success?
Trash talking, not at all. Two different professions, two different sports. But two kids from St. Louis that went to middle school and high school together for a little bit. That I could not be happier for. Special guy, special player, great person overall, and nothing but love and respect for Matt. And couldn't be happier for his success. I hope he wins, as many as he possibly can.
Hope you two shared plenty of toast ravioli and emos together after celebrating your respective championships. Your teammate Jaylen Brown, he said on a live stream, talking about kind of all the new faces, some faces, familiar faces that may have left the Boston franchise, new names and faces that are coming into the team. So, how do you feel about this Celtics team and your guy Jaylen Brown holding down the fort in your absence this season?
I think it's a unique opportunity. You're right. I'm gonna miss at some of the season, right? Especially the start. We don't have Drew anymore. We don't have Al. We don't have KP. So yeah, our team is definitely going to look different, but we still have the core, a core group between JB, Sam, Peyton, D White, guys that were there that we won a championship with. Um, and it's a new team. Yeah, it's a um, new chapter per se, and I think everybody's excited for the opportunity. Uh, everybody's going to have a little bit bigger role and a different role, and I think that happens throughout your career. Teams don't always look the same year in and year out, and that's part of it. And I've seen these guys in the gym this summer working their butts off, and I couldn't be more excited about what's to come, especially just with wearing the Celtics uniform. We have a standard that we uphold regardless of who's on our team, and we play to that.
You're one of the greatest players in the world, and you said something on a podcast that caught a lot of attention. This is the quote. I will say anybody that don't have MJ, LeBron, and Kobe in their top 5, I have a hard time listening to, which, by the way, is absolutely fact. But you only give us 3 of the 5. So, Jayson, come on, man. Who are the other 2? Like, you said top 5. You only gave me 3. Who are the other 2 players we're missing in Jayson Tatum's all-time top 5?
Yeah, it's fun. I've seen that kind of resurface. That podcast was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I think it's subject to change. There's so many all-time great players. You got Magic Johnson, you got Kareem, Bill Russell. The top 5 I have, it's tough. It's 10 guys that probably could fit in the last 2 spots, but I stand by it. I think those are the 3 greatest players of all time.
Yeah, I love the nuance to that answer. You're 1,000% right. As you mentioned, you're joining us with Vertex Pharmaceuticals. I know you talked a little bit about it, but tell everybody what it does and why it's really helped you.
I think it's important to just talk about my story and my journey, and for me, what I was going through at that time. And it's more about just raising awareness to people out there, maybe who are dealing with pain or just had surgery, that you have a choice, and that you should talk to your doctor and go through your medical history about what works best for you. And I think that's the most important.
Man, most importantly, we appreciate your time. I know you're busy. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Be well, and we're all just thinking of you, man. Like, the NBA is better when you're on the court, and this is a wild process for any human being to have to go through. So our heart aches that you're not out there playing, but we cannot wait until you're back, brother. Thanks for the time, man. We appreciate you.
No, thank you guys.
Thanks so much.